The moment a man stops chasing and allows good things to come to him, his life changes forever. Gents, welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all doing okay. Now look, a man who is chasing after somebody to stay in his life, a man who is convincing somebody not to leave, is already starting in a very bad place. He's already in a very compromised position. He is not at all in a position of strength, or indeed a position that commands a smidget of respect. He's very weak, he's very vulnerable. And 9 times out of 10, nothing good ever comes from trying to convince somebody to stay. Men who truly understand their worth, we're not talking about being delusional, we're not talking about overinflating their sense of self-importance, but men who truly understand their genuine worth and where they really are, don't chase. Because they understand the importance of preserving self-respect. They understand the importance of being able to look at themselves in the mirror, knowing that they are a man who respects themselves, knowing that they are a man of principle. Now, it's not to say that if somebody important walks out of your life, these types of men are not going to be sad, that they're not going to be feeling some kind of way. No, we're humans. And just because you're a man doesn't mean that you don't feel. Men feel just as much as anybody. There's even an argument to say we feel the most deeply, right? But what it is to say is that these type of men, they understand that despite maybe some short-term pain of somebody leaving your life, maybe a friend that's been in your life for a really long time, maybe a girlfriend, hey, maybe even a family member. Despite that loss, they understand that they would lose more of themselves in the process of trying to keep somebody there who doesn't want to be there than they would if they just allowed them to go. That's real maturity. Look, if you've done nothing wrong, if you've been good to somebody, if you've been respectful to somebody, you've been a good friend, a good family member, a good boyfriend, husband, whatever it is, and they are disrespecting you, and they are testing you, they're making you feel miserable, they're trying to distance themselves from you, don't chase. Let them do their own thing. If they want to go, let them go. Because you only lose yourself in the process of trying to keep them around. And really, you're never going to change somebody's mind through what you say. The only person that's going to change their mind is them. And sometimes people need a little bit of distance to understand what they are missing. I know that sounds really sassy, and that's like the sort of type of thing that you might see on like a bad bitch energy Instagram page or something like that, but it's true. Sometimes people need a bit of absence, a bit of distance to realize that of which they are missing, to realize that of which has genuine value. But if you're a guy who is constantly begging people to stay in his life, not literally, but through his actions, making the effort all the time, sending the text messages, organizing the plans, you feel that things are getting distant, so you try harder and you try harder and you try harder, you put them in the driver's seat. You give them control. You give them authority over your own emotions. And they get to dictate the terms. They're always saying no to you. They're always not replying in good time to you. They're always ignoring your messages because you're the one who is trying to keep them around. And I learned this through years of having friends who weren't really friends. And I didn't understand it at the time. And it took me to dive into books on relationships and podcasts about relationships and psychology to really understand what was going on in that moment of my life. But today that's not a possibility because I operate on a basis of, if somebody is not showing reciprocal energy to me in any friendship, in any relationship, and they're distancing themselves and I'm doing everything I can, I'm being a good guy, then I'll take a step back. I'm not interested. I'm not going to chase. It's not to say that maybe there isn't some sadness about some people leaving your life. There always will be. And that's normal. That's part of being a human being. But the most important thing, despite everything, is the relationship that you have with the man in the mirror. When you're begging people to stick around, when you're hounding people, you're chasing them, you're behaving in this scarce way where you're terrified to lose them, you don't respect yourself. You know that you're not behaving in the way that the best version of yourself would do. You know that you're tolerating extremely poor standards that the best version of yourself would never tolerate. You know you're tolerating disrespect. And you know that you're not making decisions that you should be making. I.e., kicking that person to the curb. Figuratively, okay? Figuratively. And letting them go. You got to ask yourself, if your current set of friends are not making you feel good, not making you feel the way that you want to feel, and we're being realistic here, I'm not talking fantasy expectations, no one's perfect, but if they're not making you feel good and they're maybe actively making you feel bad, got to ask yourself, how long are you going to allow this to keep going on for? Because ultimately, you are facilitating that. And the longer it goes on, the more blame you have to give to yourself. Because you have the power to, first and foremost, address your concerns with people. I would always say, before you're considering cutting people off, go and say to them, look, I'm not happy. This is an issue. I don't like you being weird or distant in this way. If they're disrespecting you, say, I really don't like those comments that you've been making. And then maybe you say something on top of that, along the lines of, if this keeps going, I'm going to have to think about our friendship. If it's a girl, you're going to have to say, I'm going to have to think about our relationship. And then you leave it to them. And if they don't value you then, and they don't take what you're saying seriously and change the behavior, then you can say thank you very much to them, because they've just delivered you a sign in 4K that you're not valued. They've just delivered you a sign in the clearest quality to say that they don't deem you as a valuable proposition. They don't respect you. They don't admire you. They don't particularly like you. And they are all justifications as to why you should leave them where they stand. End the friendship. End the relationship. You haven't got time to be disrespected. You haven't got time to hang around people that make you feel miserable. You haven't got time to surround yourself with people who are bringing you down. Instead, you need to get rid of those people, and you need to go and find some people who make you feel the other way, who make you feel respected, empowered, who push you to do more, who push you to be better, who make you laugh, who you do fun stuff with, who you feel like you grow with. Because you have one life. One. You're born, you live, you die. Right? And the live part in the middle, for everybody, it's longer or shorter. You don't know how long you've got there. So you're going to waste time with assholes, you're going to waste time with people that don't make you feel good, people that disrespect you, people that don't value you. I think that would be foolish to do so. So it's decision time. Are you going to be the guy who is so terrified to lose people that he just conforms to all of their demands and instructions? Are you going to be the guy who just chases, never knows when to let go? Friends, family, women, this is a big thing. A lot of guys hound women because they're so desperate, and they think, you know, if I just keep going and I just keep going, she's going to say yes eventually. But actually, in most instances, it turns them off because they just see you as this little puppy jumping up at their ankles, you know, trying to get a bit of attention. And they see it as desperate because the guys that they're attracted to appear sometimes to not even be bothered by them. They just crack on with their lives. They're busy. They have purpose. They're on a mission. They're not chasing. When they're together, they're nice. There's good interactions. They're respectful. But they're not sending 15 Snapchat messages a day. They're not sending good morning gifts, right? And what we're talking about here is people that are not in relationships doing that, which is, I believe, something that should be criminalized, to be honest. It's awful. But essentially, there are a lot of guys who just chase relentlessly. And with women particularly, this is not a good strategy because you look weak. You look like you've got nothing on as well. I mean, a lot of girls will be sat there thinking, well, this guy's messaged me 9 times today and it's 11:54 a.m. Is he not working? Does he not have any responsibilities? What does this guy do? And for them, it's a big turn-off because the guys they like are busy. The guys they like are doing things. The guys they like are progressing. So sometimes one of the biggest lessons that a guy can learn in relation to dating specific is actually the opposite to what he's been taught for his entire life. Probably, if you grow up in the West, you've probably been taught about all the Cinderella stories and being chivalrous even to women who maybe don't even deserve the chivalry. And you think the strategy to success or the formula to having good relationships is to just give and give. No, sometimes the best strategy is to stop thinking about girls at all. If a great woman comes to your life, amazing, treat her well and enjoy the time with her, grow with her. That's a wonderful thing. But don't make the focal point of your life going after a girl, because particularly in your young years, that is an opportunity to progress personally and professionally. That is an opportunity to grow and get your foundation strong. And then later on, the girl will come. But the big mistake guys make is to just prioritize getting a girl over everything, over sometimes even family. So they just try and they're relentless. They're like a salesman who's trying to prospect a company. They're just hitting every single channel, but it doesn't work with girls. It really doesn't. And they put you in the needy box. They put you in the too much box. And unfortunately, if guys don't learn this early, they're destined for a bad dating life. They're destined for a life of difficult relationships. Now, of course you can learn, of course you can grow, of course you can get out of those habits. But but it's harder the older you get. So in relationships, don't be chasing. Don't be hounding her, right? No double texting, no morning messages to anyone that's not your significant other. What are you doing, man? Crack on. Get busy. Start building some success professionally, and then things will come to you. Back to what we were talking about earlier. If you're finding that friends are taking a bit of distance from you, they're not giving you reciprocal energy, maybe they're being disrespectful, call it out for what it is. See if there is a response, see if things change. Sometimes it will change, sometimes they'll get better, but if they don't, that is a sign that those aren't your friends. Get rid of them, kick them to the curb, figuratively, and then go and find some new ones. Go to new environments, go to new clubs, get yourself to the boxing gym, get in the gym, go to a language learning class, go and pick up a musical instrument. You're going to meet great people. But the definition of insanity is trying the same things over and over again and expecting a different result. So if you don't change the strategy and you don't switch things up, expect the same, okay? Anyway, if you took some value from this, hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, comment your thoughts down below, share whatever you like. And as always, guys, thank you for your time and attention, and I'll see you in the next one.